with the background music.
And then we'll get that going in like, I don't know, another 20, 30 seconds maybe.
I was like 30 minutes.
Put the music. Did you want to do?
No. Play this music. We'll play the music first. What up, folks? All you guys looking at us through YouTube, you guys get that sneak peek look before we get started.
Roll up another one.
Go live.
Already rolled up for me.
Is this some right?
Lay your body down next to me. Inhale all the serenity. Exhale, look what you do to me. You smoking, talking, blowing up in something. Stuffing up a comb, trying to blow. Where's the lighter? Oh, you got it.
Hey, what's up, everybody? How's everybody doing?
Pretty good.
I'm great.
Gonna let this rock out for a bit.
Hey, my stoner song. Clementine, purple haze, blue dream in the sky. How long have we been chilling? I've been losing track of time. I got these beats.
To all our viewers on YouTube, what's up? What's up? Make sure to check us out on the chat line. See the chat line's already popping. If you're listening to us through the radio app, go ahead and catch us through that app as well.
Trust your journey and the vision. Pay attention to the signs. When they happen, you should listen. Can you
Got Marquez over there joining us already. Hey.
I forgot my glasses, so I can't see nothing.
It's all good. We got beat here for that. All right.
Rising in my thighs, but we're hitting center station, destinations that collide. You demanding all my power, I'm just trying to heal the vibe.
All right. What's up? Welcome back to another episode of Set Connects here live from the TGN Latinx station. We're excited today. We got a special guest in the house. What's up, B? How are you today?
Chilling today, man. You know, getting into the mood of the season.
Yeah, you're right.
Even though it doesn't feel like it.
Yeah, it's summertime, man.
900 degrees
Summertime in LA.
Summertime. We went to the football game on Friday, and it was hot. I was expecting it to be cold. We had a softball tournament over the weekend, and same thing, hot all day yesterday. So
I know. I pulled out the fan yesterday. I was like, oh my God, this is too hot.
yeah, for sure.
You got to sometimes.
So let's get into this. Said Connects, guys. Welcome back. Said Connects is Cannabis Entrepreneurial Dialogues. I'm Danny, and I'm here with my host B. Our mission is to create spaces for people and brands of color to elevate their voices through storytelling and educating and empowering our communities. Before we get started with our special guest today, we got some sponsors that we got to go through. So, B, what's up? What's up with the sponsors?
Yeah, what's up? We got Adore LA. You know, we talk about it every week. They're a queer-based community, pretty much. They open up. Sorry, you know, it's funny. I'm from Adore, and I always I always forget. Like, all right, what is it that we do again? It's just really a community. It's a community for everybody. It's faith-based, and it's open for POC, marginalized communities, and the queer communities. Yeah.
Yeah, and especially we gotta, as we've always said, we have a special place for Adore, so we really appreciate Adore for being one of our first sponsors here on the show. And we had Pastor Ed last week, so if you haven't tuned into that episode, make sure to check that episode out. And then our other sponsors, La Familia. You see some of their products here on the stage here. La Familia is the first Mexican cannabis brands here in LA and in California. You can find all their products in cookies, stizzies, March and Ash, and all throughout dispensaries here in California. And we're actually going to have them here next week. So make sure to check us out next week, as we have the owners and founders of La Familia in the building tomorrow. So we're definitely excited to have those guys. Um, but today we have a special guest, as I've been saying, coming into the studio here. We have Zzay in the building. What up, Zzay?
Hey, what's up?
We got a cheer for you right here.
Hey. I love it. Thank you so much for having me. I haven't done an interview in a long time, so any chance I get to talk is always a fun opportunity for me. So thank you.
Yeah, for sure. And we'll definitely give you an opportunity to talk.
I appreciate it.
Because I know you've been doing a lot of work in the last, from what I've seen the last few months.
Yeah.
I know from the last time that we met,
Yeah.
you had a lot going on. So
Yeah.
definitely want to get into that. But before we do all of that, we're gonna take a few steps back.
Okay. Let's do it.
And let's find out a little bit about you and where you're from.
Well, I'm a little nomad. I was actually initially born and raised in the SGV in Rosemead. So I'm a little 626 baby. And then when my parents split, I actually moved to Southeast LA to Southgate. And that's like where I grew up,
Got it.
Totally different environment than SGV, but in a lot of sense, very similar.
Yeah.
And I've been doing music since I was a little kid. Like I've been singing since I was little. I've never been scared to like be on a stage or be shy about those things. But yeah, I'm the oldest of three.
Okay.
I'm a little blended mix of like some indigenous blood and Mexican, and yeah, I've been in the like industry, like the weed industry and the cannabis industry for almost like 10 years.
10
now.
years.
Mhm.
All right. And we're gonna get into that.
Yeah.
We'll definitely get into that. But how far apart are you with your siblings?
So I'm the oldest. My sister is 3 years younger than me, and my brother is 8 years younger than me.
Okay.
So it's a fun little
Yeah.
gap, and we all have our crazy relationships. I also have a stepbrother who's 15, but I mean, I consider him my brother.
Right.
And yeah, my parents, they're both just turned 50, and
Okay.
yeah, my dad is
Shout out
like
to your parents.
Yeah, shout out to them. My dad's a civil engineer for the city of Inglewood, and my mom's a nurse at UCLA.
Okay.
So
nice.
they both don't understand why I'm a fucking singer, but they're supportive of it. It's taken them a little bit of time to really be supportive, but I think now that they see like the shows that I'm doing and like the work that I'm putting in is finally paying off, so
Yeah.
they can't say shit now.
Nice. So what you mentioned that 10 years within the cannabis industry.
Mhm.
What was the message about cannabis in your household growing up before even getting into it?
I was high key scared of weed. Like I was that person that hated weed. Like my first boyfriend in high school was a huge pothead, and I just did not understand it. Like I hated the way it smelled,
Yeah.
but also too like all of my cousins who were stoners, like they were like the marihuaneros, and like it was such a like negative connotation, but it was also hilarious because my grandparents grew weed to like make their like sobadora, to make their yerba buena and stuff, and to make their alcohol and their tinctures, but they were like anti-smoking. I think the first time I got high, like I got so freaked out by it, and like
how old were you?
I was 17. I was a senior in high school, and I'm very open. My dad won custody of us, so was very open with him, and I told him on senior ditch day that I was gonna ditch, and he was like, okay, just don't do any drugs and don't drink. And I was like, okay. And then I ended up smoking, and it was around 420, because I will never forget it, because my brother's birthday is a couple days after.
All right.
And it was around that time, and I got so high and I just wanted to sleep it off. I hated the feeling initially. And I slept, I knocked the hell out and didn't do any of my chores. I passed out, just stood asleep, and when I woke up, my eyes were like bloodshot. And then my dad was like, what's wrong with you? Like, why do you look like that? And I was like, I've just been crying like all day, but it was very negative and something very shunned in our immediate space. And then as I got older and like the day I turned 18, my dad was kind of on some like, you can do whatever you want now, so I immediately got my weed card, like after from turning 17 to
just felt enlightened.
Huh?
You just felt enlightened, like, all right, I'm 18.
Yeah.
I'm
I was
good
like,
to
now
go.
I understand why people smoke so much, But I remember turning 18 and the first thing I did was going to go get my weed card. And at that point I was the only chick in my crew who had it. So from then on out I became the person who would pick up everybody's
Right.
shit from the shops, you know?
Yeah.
And then the first shop I ever really went to and initially worked in was DTPG, the one off 7th and
Yeah.
with the Flintstones in front of what, you know, so
Right, right.
everybody knows it as that. And I had been trying back then. It was so hard to get into shops. Like in 2010, 2011, it was so hard to get into any kind of weed shop, and you had to know somebody who knew somebody who knew somebody to get in. And I would literally go in every time I'd pick up, I'd drop off my resume and try and talk to the owner. And obviously I didn't know that like the owners are not there and like not trying to be talking to people, you know. There's no like said HR or someone hiring manager that you can talk to. So I just would bug all the time till eventually I got a job there. And then my first week on my day off, they got raided. So I was like, it was
At
kind of
least
like,
you weren't there.
yeah, I was so happy I wasn't there.
Yeah.
Honestly, knock on wood, because every raid that I've been involved in, I've gotten to walk away, no problem. But then I started looking at other shops, and then I had like real jobs, but always like somehow worked in the cannabis industry. And then I started trimming. I started working in a grow house. I started learning the plant to patient aspect of it. You know, from actually being in a grow room and seeing it grow and trimming it down and because what you get in your bag or in your box does not look like what it normally does. You know, before all that stuff.
Right. Right.
So to be able to go from working at a trap to a trim house and then going back to the trap, and you know, like for people that don't know and who are new to the cannabis industry, it's called the illicit market now. It's not the black market anymore.
Right.
It's the illicit market. And that's kind of what I did. You know, I was trimming for a long time and was
And what was the feedback from like your dad or family members about you working
that's
there?
another thing that had happened too. Is I ended up finding out that all of my fucking family smoked weed. The minute, like the day I turned 18, like I was like learning. Because I remember as a kid like smelling a smell.
Yeah.
You know, and like or like when after family parties, you know, like the combination of weed and alcohol, that smell it gives you.
Right.
I remember like my dad would like give us a kiss goodnight, and I'd be like, I don't know what that smell is. And then as I got older, I was like, damn, this motherfucker was high.
Yeah.
You know, like that's what it was. And you know, so when I turned 18 and talked to my dad about wanting to smoke, he was like, yeah, that's fine, I smoke too. And I was like, what? Like this whole time I could have been telling you, you know. And it always was such a like hush hush type of thing and couldn't really talk about it. So I started smoking with him and would get him weed. And even now, like on his birthday, I always throw in a fat joint or like a pre-rolled blunt or something, you know. And it's funny. Or edibles. And him and my stepmom smoke too, and they participate. My mom not so much. She's cool on CBD, but that's about it.
Yeah.
But yeah, so being in the industry, you know, it's so hard to like explain to people who are not in it. You know, they just think it's like you're getting stoned all day and you're a lazy worker, or like you're not really working. And it's like, no, this is
There's
a job
lot too. Yeah.
And you know, I kind of had to hide at first, like how many hours I was working. The fact
How
that
many hours were you working?
usually 14 or 15 hours a day.
Yeah.
Whether it's trimming, or it's, you know, in a shop, it was 13 or 14 hours a day.
Why were they so long?
Because that's just how the traps are.
Okay.
You know, I think it's just a lot to have to do with security. You know, there's no such thing as like an 8-hour shift in the illicit market. You know, from any shop I've ever worked at. You know, you don't get like a 30-minute break. You don't get your 10. You don't get any of that. You eat when it's slow, and that's kind of it. So coming into the industry, shout out to my homegirl Irie. We're actually in a group together. She is like my trap mom. You know, she brought me into the industry within trimming, and I've never left now. Like, sorry, I hiccups. I never left after that, but I kind of had to hide, you know, like being at work all day and I'm working one job here and then I'm working another job here. You know, like if they found out, and they're probably gonna see and find out through this now, but you know, I'd imagine as a parent, you don't want your kid surrounded by a bunch of weed, with the fact that there's always a chance for a robbery or a raid, and
Yeah.
I also didn't express to them that this was illegal. And once everything became legalized, it became so much harder to stay in a shop. So luckily, as I mentioned earlier, with every shop that I bounced around at, was involved in some raids, but never got locked up, never got a ticket, didn't have to deal with any of that. Thank God. Like, knock on wood, I didn't have to deal with that.
So I'm kind of curious, and I'm sure some of the listeners are curious as well. Um, what happens when a raid goes down?
When a raid goes down, that
Yeah.
shit is scary, because a lot of the times, and that's the thing that sucks about illicit markets too, is not all the guards are on point.
Right.
That's the one thing that's always
Yeah.
I've always
Yeah.
gotten into with guards, because like, bro, you're literally sitting down right here just checking people in all day. Why the fuck is it so hard for you to pay attention to shit? And when a raid happens, either two things can happen. Either they come in peacefully and they try and come in, and it's like, where's the warrant? If you ain't got a signed warrant by a judge for today's date, you ain't getting in here. And then there's
And
other
that was the security's job to check.
yeah, to check.
Gotcha.
And I have also seen when they come in guns blazing like a freaking SWAT team,
Right.
they bust the door down and don't have a warrant, but that's on them. Like, at that point, you then realize, oh, you're just here to take all the money and the weed and
Yeah.
do whatever you
Yeah.
want with it. And that's what.
Because nothing's gonna happen to them at the end of the day,
No.
right? Like,
What are we gonna do? Call the
Yeah.
cops?
right?
Like,
Yeah.
we can't do that. So within raids, that's when I started realizing, like, damn, they're just taking this stuff, and who knows what is gonna happen with it.
Yeah.
So, and then the next day, guess what? We got all the packs back in. We got all the jars back in,
Right.
and the shop's back open. So that's one thing that a lot of people just don't understand. It's like, why do you stay? Or why do you, and it's like, bro, nobody's going to pay, because I was making bank. Like, and I eventually ranked up from being just a bud tender to becoming a full-on manager at these spots. And when you're making $25 an hour paid cash at the end of the day plus tips, there's nothing better than that, until shit starts getting too real. And that's the thing about the illicit market, is that things will always get a little too real, because I've been
Yeah.
in situations where there's been robberies. I've been in situations where there's been bartenders who steal, or they have a crazy ass boyfriend who comes up in there and tries to act some type of way. And then you have to remember, like, oh my God, there's no HR. There's no way I can call the cops. There's no way. There's just once you realize how unsafe it is, that's the bargain for me, and I
Yeah.
left the illicit market for a little bit, and shout out to Chronic, that's one of the legal shops I've worked at. They're in Long
Okay.
Beach. Taxes hella minimal there, so if you ain't trying
Okay.
to pay a bunch of taxes on your bud, go to Chronic in Long
There you
Beach.
go.
Say what's up to Steven and Hefty. But it's just so hard to go from working crazy hours and getting fat money to trying to work in the the clean market, where you're making minimum wage and only working 5 to 7 hours, and it's taxed, and
Right.
it's
And they're
it's
working you.
yeah. And I always said it, they call it the trap, because that shit traps you in. Like, even now, having to walk away from that, I had to do it because I was working at a shop near the Rolling 60s, and I eventually also learned that a lot of these shops actually pay the gangs in the area so that they
Right.
don't fuck with us. But even with that happening, I was working one night, and I heard this is recently. This is about 7 months ago. I was working one night, and I heard a round go off super close by, and I was like, I'm not gonna deal with this anymore.
Yeah.
I'm too smart for this. I'm too hardworking for this, and I'm also not trying to lose my life over some weed that ain't even mine. You
Right,
know,
right.
like this is. I'm literally just holding this shit for somebody. I'm not even the main person that people want to be talking to or dealing with. So
Yeah.
it just wasn't worth it anymore. But it is hard having to transition. There's no unemployment breaks. There's nothing for you to be able to, unless you're stacking every single week. There's no easy way to transition industries.
Yeah.
So now I'm working at locals only, and that's been hella fun.
Right.
I've been doing social media and event coordination, and like, I'm about to turn 30, and I finally feel like this is the career choice that I should stick with, because it's a combination of all the things I love to do. You know, community work, throwing shows, being able to perform, being able to provide a platform for the community, and being able to provide a space for people where they can see like their events and their dreams, you know, come to life.
Yeah.
That's gold.
And where is Locals Only at?
So we have 2 locations. We have our restaurant in Chinatown off Broadway, right next to the Dragons. We're usually closed Sunday, Monday. So if you guys ever want to pop by any of those times, let me know. We have really bomb food. We have amazing chefs. And we also provide a low vendor drop-in fee. So with every purchase that people make, there's a food hall fee, which actually keeps vendor spots low. And one thing that I love about it is like it's not about the money, and we have to explain that to people sometimes. Like it's not about, this isn't a money grab situation where you come in and you use our 15K followers and expect people to come flocking at the door. It's so much more than that. Like as vendors and as pop-ups, and with all the recent shutdown of street pop-ups, you know, like Avenue 26 got shut down. A lot of the places in Huntington Park have been shutting down. We want to provide people and chefs an experience to be able to allow their guests to come into a restaurant and enjoy the food, you know, because working in a small business and working in a small restaurant, it is expensive
for sure
to start that up.
Yes.
So for people who want to come in and showcase in a restaurant, you know, so people don't have to eat in their car or have to wait for the food to get home and go home and eat, you know, they can bring their whole family, support their favorite vendors, and sit down and have a restaurant food.
Yeah.
So that's our location in Chinatown. And then our other location in the Arts District is the event space.
Yeah.
And that's where we've been having a lot of fun.
I've been
crazy,
seeing,
dude.
I saw it. I mean, when we met, we were there for Mala's, for Mala Munoz's Marihuanera event. Then recently you guys just had like the brown bag there as well.
Yeah, shout out to Brown Bag Boys, man. That event was so fun and so funny. Yeah, it was hilarious, and you know it's awesome to be able to provide for POC as well.
Yeah,
because there's not a lot of venues, and I'm sorry, and I'm gonna just say this right now. I can be a little controversial on this shit, but like I'm tired of going into venues, especially as a performer, but going into venues and being the only Latina or the only Mexican American woman up in there, and the place is ran by old white men. And it's like they don't understand a lot of the things that are happening within the community or the type of artists they have there. So to be like a Mexican American woman holding down the fort in that space is awesome. It's something that I've always wanted to do and something that I've always wanted to be a part of.
Yeah, and I'm glad you said that, because as I was doing research and really looking up a lot of your work and everything that you're doing, I'm sitting there with my daughter, and we're watching YouTube videos and we're doing all these things together. I have a 12-year-old, and I want to give you your flowers, because whether you want to admit it or not, you're an influencer, right? You influence in many directions, right? And as we were watching this, she was like, my daughter's like, oh, that water bottle that she has, that's some good water, or that's expensive. Or there was another one we were watching where like, I have those jeans. I have those same jeans, Dad, and things like that. And so it's like, to see a Latina, to see a Mexican American, to see someone that looks like her doing what she wants, doing what she feels is right for her, and succeeding and pushing for more. Like, you have little girls looking up to you.
You make me cry.
And so I just want to give you your flowers for that, because you recognize that. You recognize that you are one of the only Latinas in spaces, and you're doing everything that you can for that. So for sure, I wanted to shout you out for that.
I appreciate that. Honestly, and it's not easy. You know, like, you have a lot of men trying to come up in there and walk around all over you, and it's like, no, dude, I've been throwing events for a long time. Like, if I didn't know what I was doing, I wouldn't be right here where I'm at, you know. And we've had good events, we've had bad events, we've had events all in between. But like just yesterday, I worked an event from noon to 8, and it was a super sick event. It was for Sunday Sounds, a bunch of up and coming artists who were sick. And then I get a call at 8 when the other event's ending, and it's like, hey, someone needs a video shoot production spot. It's gonna be from 9 to 4 in the morning. Can
Yeah.
you do it? And I'm just like, let's run it.
Yeah.
And then it ended up being Ruchi.
Oh, okay.
And I was like,
Oh shit.
I was like holding down the other event and, you know, saying bye to people. And then I look to my left and I see a swarm of people. And then I look to my right
Yeah.
and I see a swarm of people. And I was like,
He rocks with a lot of folks.
yo.
Because I've seen him. I worked a few. I do a lot of like catering events as well on the side. And one event that we did was Rolling Loud. We did Rolling Loud, and he performed at Rolling Loud a few years ago. And everywhere he went, like I just see a swarm of people behind him. It was insane.
And you know, the promoter from that night, you know, for everything being so last minute, it went so smooth. You know, and now that I've been able to coordinate a couple different events and see how these things roll, I'm like prepared for anything now. And that's really what it is. It's just expecting that shit is gonna go terribly wrong,
Right.
but being able to accept that and knowing that and being able to just run from that or run with that. Because honestly, I was honestly like, should I do this? You know, there's so many people showing up now, and I don't know if this is smart. Should I do it? And then I was like, you know what, just do it. And man, the promoter at the end of the night, excuse me, he came up to me and was like, you know what, I don't want you to take this the wrong way, but you're a boss ass bitch. And the way you handled this tonight, like some dudes don't even know how to handle this. And you know, that's another thing too, is I'm very outgoing and I'm very outspoken, but I also like hold my shit down when I need to. You know, like I was raised by my dad, and when there's one thing that my dad taught me is don't let nobody fuck with you. Don't let nobody try and mess with you or what you got going on, no matter what. So, you know,
shout out to your dad for that.
Shout out to my pops, man. My dad dealt with a lot of bullshit growing up with us. So yeah, my dad's a trooper for real. He had 2 daughters and then a son. And so yeah, all the girl dads out there, I commend you. And I'm just very fortunate to be able to be in the space that I'm in right now, because I've come from so much craziness. And I also, like, I'm a college dropout. You know, I was the first in my family to get into a really good school, but like the school systems aren't meant to help us out financially like that. I'm literally paying debt for a degree I don't even have right now. And that kills me. You know, like that drives me insane. But then it's also like, why am I going to pay all this money for this paper when in reality, like, we should be helped for these things. You know, we should be helped for being in the systemic scheme of things. Our people need to be helped way more than they should, especially with school, especially with the higher education. You know, I had applied to a bunch of scholarships. It ran out my 3rd year there, and then my 3rd year there, I had to leave because everything was super expensive. I was working full time. I was going to school full time, but it'll happen. I know it will. But
it's okay too if it doesn't, right? And that's the message I have with my kids is like, and I also understand that if school isn't the way for you, then cool, but let's find something that is for you, and let's move in that direction, and let's find that. Because I'm the same way. I went to like, I don't know how many different schools, and just I'm not doing anything. I even went to art school. I got an animation. You know, I went to school for animation. I don't even draw anymore.
Yeah, see, and it's also something where like I was trying to go to school for nursing, and then was like immediately like, I cannot do this, you know, because, you know, I come from a line of family of nurses, and I was just like, I can't, like, this is sucking my soul out of me, and I'm not happy doing this. So I also did the choir. I went to Mount St. Mary's, so I also did the choir there, and the choir ensemble was crazy, and I loved it. I was like, I'm gonna keep doing this. I want to keep doing this. And if I hadn't dropped out of college, I probably wouldn't have been an artist, honestly. Like, because I've always been singing. I've been singing since I was a little kid in choirs and things like such. But if it wasn't for me leaving school and being kicked out on my ass, you know, to just move forward with my life, I probably would have never actually gotten on stage or got into doing shows or anything like that. So I'm actually pretty happy that that worked out. But yeah, man, I'm just really happy. Even with doing events, I just started off as social media coordinator. I was just doing social media for locals, and then
That moved.
I helped throw the Locatora event, and
Right.
that was a
That just
big
kicked it off for you.
that was a big showcase to my bosses that I can do this,
Yeah.
Because to be honest, I don't know what I'm doing. I didn't really know because I've done hip hop shows. Hip hop shows
Right.
are easy, 15-minute sets. Make sure everything's running on time. Make sure nobody starts no fights, and
Yeah.
that's it. But with other events, like we've thrown baby showers there, we've thrown podcast events there now, we've thrown brunches, we've thrown everything there.
And you're gonna throw a Set Connects event too.
And
one
we're gonna
day.
throw
I'm putting it out there. I'm throwing it out there. I'm manifesting that
we're,
shit.
we're gonna make it
that
happen. We're gonna make it happen, man.
So I hope you're
because-
listening, Keith and Jackie, because we're gonna make that shit happen.
Let's do it. And that's another thing too, is we're really trying to make the space more for 420 friendly, because the high crowd versus the drunk crowd. Nothing against my drinkers. I mean, I've already said to multiple people, the only time I drink is when I'm bartending on the job. No, I was kidding. I just love the high crowd. People are nice. People want to eat. People want to chill. People
Right.
are conversating and networking. And when people are drunk, or people are sloppy and messy. And I'm like, I cannot take people seriously like this. Another thing too is like with having an event space, people think that it's a venue, and it's like, no, dog, this isn't La Zona Rosa, or like this isn't the Novo. Like
Right.
this is a community space for people, and we are very 420 friendly, and would prefer a 420 community space in our area.
Yeah.
So yes, definitely want a Said Connect there. We're gonna be starting up something soon called Sundays, and it's just gonna be like a backyard smoke type of vibes,
dope.
and yeah, that spot that we have back there is so serene. Like I just go there to work sometimes. Like,
I definitely enjoyed it there because we got there a little earlier before the crowd got there.
Yeah, you got there before the swarm.
so yeah, just to see it before and to see it after as well.
Right. Yeah.
It was a dope ass space.
Yeah, I actually had to leave because I had a show with Evidence that night.
Yeah, I remember.
So,
I remember seeing that. And I was like, "Holy shit!" She did a show after that.
I literally left, didn't even get to change, looked like a bum that night, but I had so much fun, both at that show and having to go and open up for Evidence. Shout out Velda Wonder. She's actually the person who plugged me in for that. We have a song together on her album, and it's a beautiful, empowering song for women. It's got me like, ain't nobody got me like me, and it's. When we wrote the hook, I wanted to embody a message for especially young girls, no one's gonna love you like you do. Nobody's gonna hold you down like you do. Nobody. Even like it doesn't matter like who says they're gonna be there. Like, because at the end of the day, nobody got your back like you. Ever. Even with your family sometimes, but that's understandable. Like I've had to growing up, because I had divorced parents and they were so not cool with each other, I had a lot of resentment towards both of them and a lot of bitterness towards both of them. Like, why didn't you guys help me when I needed it as a kid? But then I understand now that I'm an adult, I'm like, damn, I'm the age now that my parents were when they got divorced. So being 29, I cannot imagine having 3 kids, splitting a house, and then getting divorced from your partner who you've known since middle school. I can understand now, why they weren't there and why they were in their own heads and why they couldn't help me in the ways that they couldn't help me.
Right.
But as an adult, all these dudes, all these whatever, nobody got me like I do.
Right.
And that's something that I've had to learn the hard way.
And I'm gonna ask you about that, but first let me get into this quick commercial.
Yeah.
And then I want to ask you about what are some of those steps that you take to get yourself right.
Okay.
Because I've heard a few things.
Okay.
All right. So, real quick, I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna do a beat.
Go for it.
Beep beep, beep beep beep. Rum, rum. Grassdoor, guys. Grassdoor is one of the largest cannabis delivery services in California. If you haven't had your cannabis delivered to you, hit up Grassdoor. Go to www.grassdoor.com, and at checkout, go ahead and use Said Connects at checkout. That's CED Connects at checkout, and you'll get 20% off your first 3 orders. Yep, 20% off your first 3 orders.
Damn.
That's a lot. Have you done your order yet, B?
I haven't actually.
No. What are you
No,
waiting
I
on?
should. You know what? And this weekend was hot. I didn't want to. I really didn't want to go
Dude.
outside of the house. So thinking back, I should have.
You should. Have you
Yeah.
had any? Have you any products delivered to you, Zay?
Man,
All the time.
I had like $45 in Grass Store credit, and so that's what I do. I wait till my credit builds up, and
Yeah.
then I buy again because Grass Store. I love Grass Store because of the credit factor, and then I recommended like 4 friends, and then like got $30 each
Yeah, every
each
single
time into
time.
my account. So I'm definitely an avid Grass Store user. I just like the convenience of just being able to walk out in my slippers, dude, and like
Yeah.
just deal with it. It's
Yeah.
like it's so crazy too because I know you gotta get into the commercial, but
That was a commercial. So
Oh,
we're
okay,
good.
cool. The concept of that is just crazy because I remember when the Connect would come through and you
Yeah.
had to
Oh,
like
that's
go
right.
around the corner and it had to be on some get in the car type shit and like, okay, cool, thanks, bro. What is this? A Blue Dream? Okay, cool.
Yeah.
And then that was it. But this, it's like unreal to me. It's
Yeah.
like, wait, you're pulling up to my pad and I'm gonna swipe
Mhm.
my card and you're gonna give me weed? Like
And
that's
that's it.
awesome.
Yeah.
I mean, I mostly order I ordered the Electric Union pack from Grass Store recently, and that was pretty good. And I buy all my wax on Grass Store. They have the best wax products prices. Like I buy King Garden grams for $25 on there.
Yeah.
That's unheard of in
For us.
places, you know?
Yeah, for sure.
So I shout out to Grass Store. Sponsor me. No, I was kidding. Also, shout out to since we're on the topic of like weed stuff, I want to give a huge shout out to Buddy Jane. So if you guys haven't
Yeah.
tapped in with Buddy Jane, especially for all the stoners watching, y'all gotta tap in. They've pretty much created an app that is not censoring any weed because I'm not gonna lie, 6 months ago all you would see on my feed is me smoking
right.
because I was at the trap too. So like
Yeah.
I would be smoking all day on my feed. Like that's how people knew me. Like, oh yeah, you're blowing all day, you know?
Yeah.
But once they started reporting my post and then they actually took away the branding tools from me for a while. And I was
Wow.
like, damn, like
Yeah.
I can't jeopardize that, you know? So now I don't post any weed stuff. I barely post me smoking. It's kind of hard to even post about any kind of products or anything.
Right.
So then Buddy Jane had reached out to me, and at first I was like, this seems like a fake account. You know how when people reach
Yeah,
out
for
and
sure.
it's like,
Yeah.
is this even real? You know,
Yeah.
but then they had constantly hit me up, and shout out to Paul and the owners of Buddy Jane. But they had reached out and were like, hey, like, check out our app. And then one day I was like, yo, are y'all hiring? Like, I'm trying to get back into the market, but on the right levels. I was
Right.
like, I do social media. This is what I do. And they were like, we're not hiring, but we need ambassadors.
Okay.
So I think like within Southeast LA and East LA, I was like their first ambassador. And then, and then other people would hit me up and are like, yo, is this a real account? Like, what is this?
Yeah,
Because I
yeah.
started posting about them and promoting them. And I was like, yeah, like it's dope. And so if you are trying to post about Buddy Jane, if you are a plug and want to post about, marijuana or weed or any kind of products, that's the place to do it. It's
Buddy
also,
Jane.
it's also a cool place to connect with other stoners. Like I've also promote all my music on there because a lot of my music is about weed anyways.
Right.
So I'm constantly posting my music on there. So if you download Buddy Jane, I have the same at that I do on Instagram. I'm at ZZAY92. And I do know that like with Buddy Jane, we are going to do something very soon as far as like a promo video and like
Okay.
a day in the life of a stoner type stuff. And it's just so cool, man.
Yeah.
to,
No,
like,
for sure.
to-
And I know that happens a lot because I'm always working with a bunch of brands,
Yeah.
and they get their accounts closed or shut down, and a lot of them have to deal with all that. So it's a good That's a good plug there.
Yeah.
Be able to definitely
I mean,
reach out to them.
IG was even messing with them, and like I think like took down their main account, because I
Yeah.
would like try and tag them, and I'd be like, wait, where are they? I know that I think I'm shadow banned too from Instagram. Instagram loves to shadow ban people.
Yeah.
So I couldn't find their name anywhere, and then eventually I was like, dang, their account got taken down. So it's a huge war on censorship right now. It's like,
Yeah.
but then you see like nothing against it, but like a bunch of half naked bitches, but it's like, wait,
Yeah.
like I want to see what's good within the weed community, because that's what
Yeah.
it is. It's a community. So shout out to Buddy Jane. They're listening right now. They do a lot for the weed community as well. So love to see it.
And I definitely want to tap in with them too.
Yeah,
So hopefully
let's
we can get
them
that in
here.
there. Absolutely. So going back to what we talked about in regards to preaching, not preaching, but I read the
Yeah,
post there.
we got Julia said, "Ooh, preach! Ain't nobody got you like you got you."
That's right. That's right, Julia. Shoot.
and so about that, what are some of the steps that you take to make yourself feel like you're taking care of yourself?
Sometimes I don't feel like I'm taking care of myself. Like I think it's really hard to find that balance, because especially because when I was working in the trap, like I was gaining so much weight and like just smoking like crazy, and like not that there's anything wrong with that, but like I just didn't feel like I could be my best self, But now I know that like a social media break is what's needed, or just taking a long hot bath and just turning my phone off and going out to run with my sister, or just going out for a walk. Like there's so many small little things that you can do to completely change up how you feel. And I used to think that it was so much more like, oh, I gotta join this weight program and like get a gym membership, or I gotta like start this 90-day detox, and like that's dope if you want to do that, but there are so many small little factors that you can do to help keep yourself in check. And honestly, that's also what it is too. I think after experiencing so many things in which the universe is like, here is a lesson.
Yeah.
And you're either going to learn it or you're going to make the same mistake. And after repeatedly making the same mistakes in my life, whether it be with dating people, whether it be with working with the wrong people, whether it be with just investing my energy into the wrong things, the universe has always smacked me in the face and been like, look, we're trying to teach you and you don't want to listen. So every time this happens, it's going to be even worse. So I think after a while, finally learning my lesson with investing my energy into the wrong things, I'm just so cautious of that now. It also has a lot to do with lack of self-love and, not loving yourself and not feeling like you're the best person that you can be, and just allowing the wrong type of energy, because ultimately that's my fault. Like if I've allowed the wrong people into my life, that's my fault 110%. But also I'm a good person and I like to see the good in people, and I like to give people the benefit of the doubt with a lot of stuff. And then once I get screwed over, it's like, this is literally what's happened before and I have to stop doing that.
Catch those red flags, right?
Oh yeah, red flags.
Red flags. Gotta wave those things.
But after a while, I've learned that like I can't be too hard on myself.
Yeah.
My mom's pretty religious, so we pray sometimes together, which is very necessary, and whether it be to the universe or whatever you believe in, like just meditate. Just taking a break. And I think that's why it's so hard for people to meditate, because you literally just have to sit there and do nothing and not even think,
well, it also goes back to like what we were taught, like even growing up within our communities and our households. It's we can't express.
We gotta tough it out. Like depression
so,
ain't real. You're just being lazy. Why are you napping all day? And as a kid, I didn't realize that I had anxiety.
I just thought we were having that talk yesterday with my daughter, and we were talking about therapists, and we brought up, what does that mean and what does that look like, and she even was like, I think I wouldn't mind doing that, and I was like, let's look then, let's figure that part out for you. And so just even having that open conversation will definitely start changing the mindset of our youngins.
I can appreciate that, because I actually did go to therapy as a kid when my parents split. We went to like a tried to do a co-parenting thing, and then
Right.
it just didn't work out because I think also too within the household, like you can go to therapy, but then on the ride home, you're gonna hear it like, "Why did you say this?" or
Oh yeah.
"Why didn't you know?" Like that was the
Yeah.
hardest thing too about going to family therapy was like, you say all these things to the therapist, and you just look at your
Right.
dad, and you're like, "Damn, you gonna whoop my ass when we get home," you know?
We got Mysterious Jack saying social media breaks are great for our mental health. The fact that she takes accountability tells me she's at a good place. I'm definitely on that journey. And then same, our parents didn't know any better. They did the best they could with the way they were taught.
Absolutely. And our parents are also unlearning too.
Yeah.
Like my parents, who they are now, I'm
Or-
like, could y'all have been my parents back then? No,
Yeah.
but it's just a learning experience. They're super young when they had me too. So like they were kids when they had us. So I can't expect that from, like I said, I had a lot of resentment back then, but now I get it. Now I understand. But I also too, going back to it, I do go to therapy. I go to therapy once a week. And even with that, it is so hard to commit to just having a 2-hour session each week. Just having that commitment is very hard. And I appreciate my therapist. She really holds me accountable, and
That's
also it's expensive. So like, if you're not putting in the work for it, like you're just not going to get nowhere.
Right.
And I think that's one thing as people, it's very hard to hold, about accountability. That's one of the hardest things to do because you have to come to truth with yourself.
Yeah.
Sorry, I smoked before I got here.
It's all good. It's all good. I did too.
So just small things like going to therapy and finding somebody that is affordable. You can also
and the right person.
And the right person, because I've dealt
person.
with a bunch of therapists who just made me feel like, damn, what are you doing? How did you get a degree? And some people are about the money in it, or just some people just shouldn't be dealing with other people.
Right,
honestly,
right.
I feel like some of these therapists should go see a therapist.
Yeah.
But I appreciate my therapist a lot. She really keeps me in line and in check with certain things and doesn't provide any excuses for me. Is very like, you said last week that you were going to do this and you haven't done it. So why haven't you need to explain why you haven't done these things? And it's like, oh, why haven't I done these things?
Yeah.
But I definitely am on a path to bettering my mental health because I didn't grow up in the best upbringing. I didn't grow up with parents that, really focused on mental health and were kind of a contribution as to why it was so messed up. But as I've gotten older, like in the past 4 or 5 years, unfortunately, I've lost so many of my friends to suicide. And I think that is a eye opener.
Yeah.
Because it's always my homies who I would have never expected. I lost a homie last year, and rest in peace, my homie Rec, and shout out the Unity Project. And to know that my friend was suffering in silence is a big eye opener and a big reason as to why I'm just like, if I'm feeling some type of way, I'm say it. If I'm not feeling good, I'm gonna say it. And if I need to take a break from things, I'm gonna do it, and I'm not gonna explain myself to nobody.
Yeah.
That's another thing too, is like people feel like they have to explain why they feel a certain way or explain that they're not doing good. Nobody knows an explanation to anybody. And even when I posted about it, people were hitting me up like, you don't need to explain to us. Like, you do what you gotta do. Yeah. And that's the thing that's hard about being an artist in the limelight is I took this social media break for a week and I felt like I missed out on so much of my promotions, trying to promote, the projects I'm working with, trying to promote my shows. Like that. I don't have it ain't like back in the day where you had a street team and all the flyers were being handed out, like social media is your street team. And to have to walk away for a little bit, it's hard. And even being on, I had to still be on the locals page and the cafe page because that's my job.
Right.
So, I went camping too, just getting away from the city, just
Nice.
finding that change that you need. Sometimes it can be, like I said initially, it can be the smallest things. Therapy helps a lot, but like there are times when I can't hit up my therapist. I got to solve stuff by myself.
Right.
And I think the feeling of after you deal with it. And after accomplishing what you need to have, or after taking a break and coming back and relaxing and taking the time you need for yourself, is so important.
For sure.
And also smoking.
Yeah. There you go.
You know, like I shout out to Queen Kush Queen. I buy all their CBD bath bombs.
Okay. Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
like sometimes you just gotta smoke and chill and just.
Yeah.
I've literally had days where I'm like, I just want to sleep and chill and eat and watch Disney Plus and smoke all day. I don't want to deal with music. I don't want to deal with work. I don't want to deal with people. I don't want to deal with men. I don't want to deal with nobody. I just want to chill out. And I think when you finally come to terms with wanting to, shout out my sister, she's on here too. When there's just times where I just don't want to deal. I don't want to deal with it. And that's okay. And
absolutely.
I think as, you know, being the oldest and being a woman and constantly like I was explaining, I had one of my homies come over the other day and he was like, why won't you stop cleaning? And I was like, bro, I've literally been cleaning since I was 6 years old. like, this is something that I've been doing forever, you know? So just coming to terms with taking breaks, especially when you're a workaholic, is probably the biggest takeaway I would say for people. If you're a workaholic and if you're constantly working and you're constantly trying to, what's the next move? How can I be productive? What can I do? Sometimes you just got to take a break, because if not, the universe is going to put something in your situation where it forces you to do that.
Yeah.
And I don't want to deal with that.
So being that you're almost 30, what would you tell yourself, your 25-year-old self?
Oh man. To just not, like I said earlier, not focus on the wrong things. You know, when I was 25, I was so involved with things that I'm not even involved with anymore. And I think it also just comes down to protecting your energy and protecting yourself. And I wish I would have done that when I was 25, and also to save. That's you know,
that
like
part.
That part.
Coming from a family with younger Latino parents who didn't have money, like I didn't know about saving. I didn't know about investments like I do now. You know, like I didn't know about any of that. And when I was 25, I had a good job at the trap and I was blowing all my money. And now that
I think everyone.
Yeah, you know,
I remember I would go out from like Thursday to Sunday, blowing hundreds of dollars at a bar.
Yeah,
and I'm like, fuck, dude, I could have done something with that money.
Yeah, same. So I wish I would have told myself, you know, like just don't invest your energy into the wrong things, into the wrong people, and to save money. Because if 5 years ago, if I would have saved, I'd be a hell of a lot richer right now.
It's hard to understand as a 25-year-old that too, but hey, we talk about it from experience, but it's kind of that message, right? Like, you're old, you don't get it.
Yeah. And I think also too, I would tell myself to not be so hard on myself, because I was also very hard on myself at that age. 25 was wild. My sister just turned 26. And she was like, does it get any better? And I was like, dude.
It does. It really does.
Literally after 25, everything got better.
So talking about that, so I was my 25, when I was 25, I was really hard on myself. You know, you got to get everything. At this point, you got to know what you're doing, and at this point, you know who you're supposed to be, and like trying to figure out your career or not career, or school or not school. And I think I must have looked stressed, and I was at my job at that time, and he comes by and he's like, how old are you? And I'm like, 25. He's like, oh my God. He's like, you know what? It gets better. And I'm just like, what? Like, what are you talking about? He's like, it gets better. Like, you're just so hard on yourself, but it gets better. And I'm just like not understanding. And it wasn't until I turned 30 when I was like, now I understand what he was saying. You know, we're just so hard on ourselves, you know, trying to figure everything out. And it's not really that big of a deal.
I also think society puts this like pressure on us to have everything ready by 30, and that's just not the case anymore.
For sure.
Like, and I think that's something that I was doing to myself too. I would put this crazy, like when I was, so I'm 29 now, and when I was 19, I really thought that by 29 I'd have kids, be married, have a house, you know, all these things. And I'm 29 with a dog in an apartment, you know, with my sister. And I'm okay with that. You know, I think
Yeah.
also letting that go, like letting the expectations from society, you know, especially as women. I think that there's so many extra. Well, I mean, men have it too. You know, you guys are supposed to be the breadwinners and the
Yeah,
people who hold
providers.
the providers, and I don't want to. I don't need a man to provide for me anymore. You know, like I can handle things on my own. I would love companionship and a
Yeah.
partnership with somebody,
Right.
but trying to get married right now, I don't. I don't know.
Nah,
I don't know
nah,
about
nah.
I mean, yeah.
that.
Well, I got some flash questions for you that I want to throw
Okay.
out your way.
Let's
Before
do
we
it.
do, we got
Alright.
Sheila Gomez says self-love, time for yourself, enjoying Gia and receiving the
Oh,
her energy.
Mama Gaia.
Gaia.
Mhm.
All right.
I love it. Thank you, Sheila. We need that kind of energy.
Yeah, we do. Thanks,
Mhm.
Mom.
Love it.
I always forget.
All right, so we're gonna
Hi,
do.
Mom.
We're gonna do. Would you rather? Would you rather?
Oh God. Okay.
All right, so would you? We're gonna start pretty easy. Would you rather smoke or have an edible?
Ooh, smoke.
Smoke all day. All right.
Except those churros right there. You're gonna have to shoot those.
Yeah, I got you. I got you. All right, next one. Would you rather communicate in rap battle, like anytime you're talking, you're battling, or are you singing like you're in an R&B song?
Damn, that's hard because I've done a battle before and I whooped some ass.
I saw. I saw.
But probably sing because if it's something where I gotta like communicate to get my way, I'll probably win them over. Like
Mhm.
that.
All right. Would you rather work with SZA or Kaliuchi
Oh, SZA all day.
all day? All right.
Mhm.
Would you rather have universal respect or unlimited power?
Universal respect.
Okay. Would you rather live your life with having AC and heating all your life or no internet for the rest of your life?
Ooh. We're in LA.
I know. I'm like that's kind of necessary. I'm probably the AC and the heater. That seems very. I don't have a heater right now, and I'm dying at night. So.
All right. Would you rather have a pause button or a rewind button in your life?
Man, probably a pause button.
A pause button?
Yeah, because I feel like even if I were to rewind the times in my life right now, I wouldn't be where I am. You know, my life would be totally different. It's kind of like that new Marvel series, The What If.
Oh, okay.
You know
yeah.
what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
And like,
That's that Disney Plus. If you don't
Yeah.
have Disney Plus, you don't know.
you know, so there's this series, and it's like what would have happened to the Marvel characters if they wouldn't have done what they had done.
Yeah.
So I think I would just pause stuff because honestly, I'm not gonna lie, getting old and dying freaks me out. So if I could just pause life
bit.
to enjoy everything a
Yeah.
little more, that would be dope.
All right. Would you rather live through a zombie apocalypse or a robot apocalypse?
Oh man. Well, I've seen The Day After Tomorrow. No, not what's that one movie with Tom Cruise? All those robots
Oh,
attack.
I know what you're talking about, but I can't think of it.
Okay.
Like
Well, that movie
War of the World or something
War
like
of the
that?
Worlds.
Oh,
Is that what it,
That
yeah.
movie freaked me out. And I'd rather do some what's that zombie show?
Walking Dead.
I'd rather do that.
They're
Yeah.
slower, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Robots like are probably 10,000 times smarter than humans. So
Yeah.
I'd rather just deal with a dead human.
Alright. This might be biased, but tacos or pupusas?
Damn.
That's a hard
See,
one.
that's the thing. Working in a restaurant, dude, we had a birria person and a barbacoa person, and I was just like in love. But I also love bean and cheese pupusas, and I love mushroom pupusas. So that's really hard. But I'm Mexican, so tacos.
I mean, they do have a mixture at La Pupusa Urbana, where it's
Where?
La Pupusa Urbana down on Union and Washington. That they
okay.
make a pupusa and they put the carne on top. You know, you got both things.
Best of both worlds. Okay.
That sounds like such stoner food right there, dude.
Is that the one with the big pupusa?
Nah, yeah, that's the place, La
Mama
Mamazota.
Sota?
Yeah, that's
I
the
wanna
place.
try
Hey
that.
man, people go check out. It's a Salvadoran, he's, like mid-30s. Go check him out. So
I
La
definitely-
Pupusa Urbana.
Yes, I want to try that.
Yeah.
Last one. Would you rather bungee jump or skydive?
Bungee jump.
Bungee jump?
Yeah, I don't know, man. My dad wants to skydive
It's
before
fun.
he turns 55, and I'm like, you have fun. I would rather be attached to something. Like I'm not. That's funny that you asked that because when I go to like Six Flags and stuff, I'm all for it. I love rides, but the free fall rides are the ones that just freak me out. Like what is it, Supreme Scream?
Yeah.
And what's the other one at
Six Flags?
Free fall. That's
Free Fall,
literally what
there's
it's called.
Free Fall and Superman and all those, right?
I
But
can't
you know
do
what?
it.
It doesn't even feel that way. When you go skydiving,
Uh-huh.
you don't feel the free fall
Yeah,
feeling.
you feel just floating in the air.
No, all you feel is wind in your face. That's it.
I don't do heights, so I'll just stand in front of a powerful fan. We got Julia saying Sunday was National Pupusa Day.
Hey.
It was.
Did you have some pupusas?
No, I was so. We had something else. I can't remember what we had on Sunday, but I know we talked about it. We brought it because we were at the softball field on Sunday. We brought it up, but then
It didn't happen.
no, I forgot what we had that day though.
I might do that.
It was just
today.
yesterday.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yesterday.
That was
Yeah,
just yesterday. I
yesterday.
don't even remember what we had yesterday. But all right. Moving forward. So I saw that you were at Rhymefest this past weekend.
Yeah.
But before we get into that, where did the love from music even get started?
My mom
Your mom.
and my dad.
Your mom and dad.
My mom can actually really sing.
Okay.
And I remember hearing her like just in the shower and stuff, and I'd be like, dang, mom, you sound just like Shaka Khan or like the person, I didn't remember their names, but I'd be like, you
Yeah.
sound like the girl that was singing in the song earlier. And I think the household that my mom grew up in, she probably would have never pursued that. It just wouldn't have been supported.
Yeah.
But I'd always hear her and she'd sing things and I'd be like, wow. And then I'd hear things on the radio and would mimic them. And I'd be like, I don't think other kids can do that.
Yeah.
Like I learned about like falsetto and like being able to change up my voice and add vibrato to stuff. And I'd be like, whoa, I don't know if other kids, I can sound just like her. And when like pre-smoking, like my voice was pretty different,
Yeah.
just being a kid. And then my dad was a DJ. So my parents
okay.
were actually a party. My dad, was affiliated back in the day, but they also were in a party crew. And that's kind of how they funded my early life. They threw parties in the SGV and would charge people
Yeah.
crazy amounts to get
Those flyer
in.
parties.
Yeah, the flyer
Damn.
parties.
I was probably at one of those. I
I
probably helped fund one of your birthday parties.
I don't doubt it. I don't doubt it. Because my dad wasn't involved in construction or anything yet, so that's how they were making money. And like, I just remember my dad like. Songs would come on and he would just do this. Like, even if he wasn't DJing, he would just do this. And I'd be like, what are you doing?
He's
Yeah.
air DJing.
Yep. He'd be like, this is watch right here. If you
Just
if
where the
you-
beat drops.
this is where the
Ear
beat drops.
scratching.
And it's like,
Yeah.
this would be a perfect mix. Oh, right here. They're going to mix in a song. Listen. And then sure enough, they'd mix in a song.
Dang.
And then like, my dad grew up and he had some techniques. And I remember in his room, he just had like walls of vinyl, so
I was just gonna ask you that.
all the vinyl. I'm
Yeah.
so mad he sold that shit. I'm mad to this day that he
What?
sold it. Yeah.
Oh, wow.
But now he's a photographer.
Oh.
So he sold his 1200s and
So
all
for
of his
another
vinyl
passion.
to buy a badass camera. And now he's a published photographer.
Wow.
Okay.
So I get it, but I'm also
Yeah.
salty about it.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
That's how the music. And my grandpa, he sang boleros, so he'd always.
That's my type of music.
Yeah, he'd always sing boleros and he'd always play guitar, and I just was so fascinated by the fact that he could just jam out on the guitar. It was the guitar with the little butt in it, the little
Yeah.
bolero guitar, and so I've always been surrounded by music. Honestly, I think I come from a pretty creative family too. Like the family that isn't nurses and in the medical field is
Yeah.
all doing something creative. My uncle is in a Christian rock band called On Bended Knee, and they like opened up for Paramore like years ago before I even really like was into Paramore like that. So shout out my uncle. So yeah, I just have always been around music, and my grandma, she's a hippie, so she always was playing a bunch of music from the 60s and would be like,
Okay.
this is how we danced, and all that stuff. So
Yeah.
I'm very fortunate to I'm honestly really glad that my parents are young, because they put me onto a lot of dope music growing up. And
So
then
what were
like
some of your favorite records growing up?
Yeah, that was
my parents put me on to Slave as a little kid, and I remember one day we had to bring our favorite CD, and I brought in the Slave CD, and my teacher was like, how do you know about
Yeah.
this? But I mean, I grew up with like a lot of Led Zeppelin, a lot of Jimi Hendrix.
Got it.
I grew up with Chemistry. I grew up with Erica Badu, Shaka Khan, Guapale, uh, a lot of oldies. We're from the
Right.
SGV, so oldies
Yeah.
was all
Yeah.
day. And I just remember like my aunt, she used to smoke cigarettes, and like I just remember her always smoking cigarettes and always bumping Erica Badu like all day. And then like one
Yeah.
of the first songs that I memorized was On and On. And so they put me onto a lot of dope music growing up.
And is that where your style now comes from?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was listening. So I was definitely like vibing on some of your music this
Thank
weekend. I was
you.
like driving and I was like, you know what? Let me put some of this on, and I love the jazz sound.
Yeah.
And so I was like, oh hell yeah, let me add this shit to all my
Thank
lists.
you. Yeah, I'm glad you like it. And I feel like I like to sing about things that people can relate to.
Yeah.
I feel like the best music is music that people can feel like they're on the same page with, and that's one of the compliments that I get a lot. Like I totally feel what you were saying in that song, because like, yeah, like I love metaphors, I love my similes, I love my imagery and stuff, but sometimes you just gotta give it to people straight, and
Yeah.
I think people can appreciate that. But thank you for vibing, because that's my favorite stuff. And I actually have a new song and video coming out with my boy Noises. He one of our homies, again, going back to like the topic of suicide, one of our homies, he took his own life a couple years ago, and he really just took that experience and that thing that happened in our lives, and as opposed to just being on some, I'm really sad that my friend left, he turned it into a positive, powerful movement.
Yeah.
And and shout out our boy Swerve, rest in peace, rest in peace. My boy Noises took that and amplified it into his music, and I've seen my homeboy just skyrocket, and so this next album that he's dropping, called Count Your Blessings, it's a short EP, but I'm on the first track, and he we were all shook by our homie
Right.
passing.
Yeah.
And I was really excited that he asked me to be on this song. So in December, this project's going to be coming out. I'm actually going to do the promotion for it right after this. And I'm really excited because I love being able to rap and sing, and especially if
Yeah.
it's something that I'm really feeling. So look out for that. That's going to be fun.
We'll definitely be on the lookout for that.
Yeah.
The other question that I had for you related to this was going back to the Rhyme Fest.
Mm-hmm.
So you were in Rhyme Fest, and how did that all go about with COVID and everything? Let me back up. How did COVID last year affect your career, if it did, or did it catapult you into this amazing year that you're having this year?
I think the beginning of COVID was very scary because I was supposed to go on tour in Europe, and that wasn't gonna happen.
Right.
I had just learned how to record myself at the studio I was working at, and then they shut down the studio. I really had to come to terms with whether or not this is what I wanted to do, because I was like, half of my livelihood is gone. I make money off shows. I make money off doing verses for people. And if I'm not able to do that, then what am I going to do?
Right.
I can't do this Twitch live stream shit anymore. It's just not the same. And even with that, yes, I was killing it, but it just was such a messed up transition. But I really questioned if this is what I wanted to do. Like, should I just go back to school and get a real career and get a real job? Or do I just tough it out and see how to navigate it? But it's like so new and something none of us had experienced. So how do you navigate this? You know, how do you attack this unseen battle that is happening? But then it didn't catapult me into thinking like, you know what? People need my music. People need to hear what I've got to say, and people appreciate it. And people relate to it. And I just kept going. And one thing that, you know, someone had told me is like, damn, you worked this whole pandemic. Like, you've literally just been working this whole time. I never got a break. I never was on unemployment. I never chilled. And it's just it is kind of scary now with everything, with the vaccine. And I'm not gonna lie, I'm vaccinated, but I only did it because I'm so in the public.
Right.
You know, like, I understand why it's a scary thing for people, and I understand why people are scared to get it done. But at the same time, like, working in the illicit market, I was very scared to get sick because there is no mask mandate. There is no mandate for anything. People are still picking up jars and smelling weed.
Yeah.
You know, so I'm counting cash all day. So yeah, I was very worried that a mask wasn't going to be enough for me.
Right.
So I did get the vaccine, and it was really hard to tell people that I know, you know, because a lot of my friends are not down with it, and I get it. I understand.
Sure.
But also, like, I just, not that it makes me feel safe, but it makes me feel like I ain't going to get sick. Because I feel like I caught COVID before all this happened. I feel like I caught COVID December of 2018 into going 2019.
There's a lot of people that did say that they feel like they did have
I
it.
literally remember being so sick and telling my friends, I need to quarantine myself. Like, this is a type of sick that I have never felt in my life. And when I get sick because I don't get sick often.
Yeah.
I get sick maybe once or twice a year. So when I got sick with this and couldn't even go out for anything for Christmas, couldn't celebrate New Year's, I was dying. And I was like, this is not the flu. I've had the flu. This is something different. Like, to the point where it hurt to blink, you know? So I feel like I already caught that.
Yeah.
But yeah, I just like it, you know, my sister just recently, congrats to my sister. She just recently took a trip to Hawaii, and, you know, she told me how awful it felt to be at, you know, the airport. She's vaccinated too. And to be at the airport and to see people being refused because their vaccine QR codes weren't working, you know, their negative COVID test wasn't working. And to me, that's just so, like, I can't wrap my head around that.
Yeah.
You know, for people to just be like, you can't go. Sorry. Your ass out of your plane ticket. And, you know, like, it's just an awful feeling seeing people not be able to get into. Just the other day, me and my homegirls went to go try and eat sushi. And, you know, me and my sister, we pull out our cards, and my homegirl doesn't have hers. And it's like, damn, this feels whack.
Yeah.
Like, the division and, like, almost, I don't want to say segregation because that's not the right word, but just the new implemented rules and how fast people are just like, sorry, you can't. You know, I get it. I understand. But also it's like, damn, this feels shitty. Yeah. This does not feel cool. But with Rhyme Fest, you know, I don't know what happened at the front door. I entered through the artist door, showed my thing, and I got in.
How was that?
It was insane.
Yeah. Like,
just to be, after I opened up for Felipe Esparza a couple years ago at the Novo with the group that I used to be in. And after that show, there was 1,000 people there, and we rocked 4 shows. So that's a total of 4,000 people. After that, I was like, these are the only kind of shows I want to do. I'm, like, not scared. I'm not afraid to do this. I want to only do shows like this. I only want to be on stages where there's this many people.
Yeah.
So when we did the evidence show, I was nervous, but I was like, let's go. Like, that kind of adrenaline is just the best. Like, I would so much rather be doing that than anything else. Like
Yeah.
that's my bungee jumping. That's my
That's it,
skydiving, you know? And I loved it. Like I
Yeah.
was really sad, you know, because shout out to Tumex. He's one of my mentors and helped me write a lot of my songs when I was, dabbling and doing my own stuff. He's helped me. He's always been a huge help in my life when I needed money, whatever the case was. He's always helped me, and he wasn't there because he has a kidney infection right now. So if everybody could just send some love to my homeboy because he is a pillar in this hip hop industry. um, but I got to meet, Blue, and I've met Blue, but like to actually meet him was crazy. And, shout out to Vel again. Like she's one of the most humble artists that I know. Like, yeah, she's in her bag about shit, and she knows she kills it,
Yeah.
and she knows she's a beast. But at the same time, she is so humble in the sense where like she has over I don't know how many followers and is still just down to be like, yo, you want to rock a song with me at this sick ass event? And I'm like, dude, let's do it. That like there's no amount of money that can replace that.
Yeah.
And yeah, just being in front of that crowd, my boy Nug Life was DJing. Just fun. That's all it is.
Yeah.
It's fun. And then, as soon as I finish though, that's the thing about performing is especially in a big crowd like that, you got to give so much of yourself. So like I'm a very extroverted person, but as soon as I'm done off stage, I got to go to the back and chill by myself.
Right.
Cuz it's like I can't deal with all the people
Yeah.
coming up to you after like you did great, la la la, and I'm just like, I know, but I can't
Just leave
talk
me
to you
alone.
right now.
Yeah, leave me alone.
But it was so much fun. I got to see, Brother Ali, Nems, who was ridiculous on stage.
Could only imagine.
I got to see Blue in Exile. One of the first songs I ever rapped to was a Blue beat, and my sister was actually on the song with me. And it was his opening song, and I just like lost it, and the thing about those shows is like they're fun,
Right.
seeing all these legendary people, MC Supernatural was there, Freedro Starr was there, man, I can't even, Exile was there, just so many people, the Hoodies,
Yeah.
just so many people that I just look up to. And then because I'm in the hip hop world, I got to see a ton of my friends in the crowd, people who already support.
Yeah.
So just fun, and I really can't wait to do more shows like that.
That's
That's
dope.
all I want to do now.
Just
Like,
shows?
and not even on some like, oh, I'm too big for the small shows, because I'm still gonna do all the small shows, but I want to be in front of huge crowds, like, because I just feel like that's where I belong.
So, and we're getting close to the time, but
Mhm.
I wanted to ask, is the what's the word? Success meter, I guess you would say, or what artists strive for now? Because I feel like back then, artists they wanted to get on the radio, right? And that was
Yeah.
like the meter to success was
Right.
get on the radio. Is that the same goal that artists are now are trying to get into? Is get into the radio, or is it streaming? Because like now I personally don't even listen to the radio that much anymore
me
either.
neither.
I listen to Spotify, and so I'm streaming, artists that I know, and I don't even know if radio is as relevant for artists anymore as it was back in the day.
Yeah.
And so is it still the same type of goal for you as an artist, or what are your goals?
I mean, like, I've been on the radio, so to hear yourself is insane. It is an amazing feeling, but I want to, like, my goal for this 2022 is to get a sync. I want to be on a show. Like, I want my music to be in On the Block or Hentified or something on Amazon, Hulu, Netflix, whatever, because I think the biggest thing now with artists too is being able to create residual income off of not even doing anything.
Yeah.
Like,
Mhm.
if I can have my music work for me as opposed to having to do, I mean, when
Yeah.
I first started doing this, I was like, I want to tour till I'm 40 and tour the world. And like, now that I've toured in Europe, I'm like, I'm cool on that. That shit is exhausting. Like, you think shows are hard? go tour in Europe and go tell me how that is, because it was amazing. I had the best time of my life, but that shit is exhausting and draining. And so I'm like, no, I don't want to be that artist 40, 50 years old pushing their health on tour. I don't want to do that. I would love to have my shit streamed, land a sync, and then make that banger of an album that is like my catalyst to getting those things.
Yeah.
And honestly, one of my goals is to become an A&R and to help other women and to help other people, because there are no women A&Rs in this industry. There's like a handful and the rest are men. And I want to be...
What's an A&R?
An A&R is like you find artists and
Okay.
you help build their career. I really don't. It's gonna be so bad, but I do not know the actual term, like what it actually means.
Okay.
But it's pretty
But
much
that's what it is.
Yeah, it's
Okay,
pretty much
cool.
the person who plugs in the artist, helps with artist development. That's what it is too. I want to help out with artist development because I didn't get that till a couple years ago. Shout out to my boy Steven. Shout out to Oh That's Filthy. He has really helped me and shaped the professionalism within my
Yeah.
artistry.
I heard. I think I heard one of your interviews. Your little big brother.
Yeah, he's my little big
Your
brother
little big
for sure.
brother? Yeah.
And I just really want to say a huge thank you to them. I'm also in a crew with Brujas Brew with 2 other chingonas, and we're killing it right now too.
And what's about that? Well, tell me about that project.
So we are individual artists. So Sister Irie has been doing music for a while. She's actually a previous Bloodian, and she's a Pachamama. So that's my trap mama right there. She's helping with all the holistic and beautiful things in life, and is also brings the balance within doing all this. And we actually had a couple of shows this weekend, and every time, like, as individual artists we kill it, and then when we come together, it's crazy. It's a crazy dynamic. So we have a project coming out. We've been working with Python P of Pack Music, and it's a different vibe from anything that we do, because we mostly do boom bap, underground hip hop, and then when we come together and we kind of throw in some trap shit, and it's a different vibe. But 3 women, and it's dope. It's like some TLC shit. We all have matching outfits, and we got to rock Thought Fest. Shout out to 60 East. We got to rock the Happiness of Pursuit Fest, and something happened with the sound, and our set got pushed back like an hour and a half, and I'm so happy it did, because it was crowded when we rocked, and we got the flowers we deserved, for our set.
That's cool. And
shout out my Brujies.
There you go. And I'm glad you're talking about all these collaborations, because we're gonna have a collaboration with you too now.
Yeah.
We got this thing rolling, and for all our listeners, we put together a little playlist on Spotify.
Yeah.
And so Zzay, she went ahead and picked out her top 10 songs. B and I, we went ahead and we put in a mixture of some of our songs that we went and listened to. So we're gonna be pushing that out after this episode. Zzay doesn't even know our playlist yet.
I know.
But
I'm sure that the songs I sent in were so out of like.
No, it's cool because it worked. Because it worked out for us too. Like I put in some Linkin Park in there.
Hey.
We got some Project Pat in there.
There we go.
To whoever, for those who listen to it, have fun trying to figure out who chose what song.
Yeah, for sure.
Also, shout out my homegirl Bonnie. That's also somebody who is a huge influence in my music. She's on here right now in my life, but man, we've gone on many tours together, and she's just such a business savvy, like a boss bitch, and it's just like, that's another person that's like really taught me to not let no one mess with you. And just because, like, women in the industry have to deal with so much other bullshit.
Yeah, I could only and I say that a lot, especially in every industry, right? Because all the work that you're doing, I have 2 girls. I got another girl on the way.
Aww.
And so any of the work that women are doing in any industry, like, I'm here to support, because you're paving the way for whatever direction my girls want to go into. And so I'm definitely supporting you. I'm a fan of your music now after all the research that we've done and going into
I can't believe you saw the battle though.
Oh yeah, I was actually showing my partner Julia that like right before coming out here. I was like, hey, it's just all rap battle with her, and she tore her up. She says she's a big bone Lauryn Hill. I was like, yes, that was So
Oh man, that was so much fun, but I'll never do that again.
Yeah.
I literally had to Facebook lurk her to find out dirt on her. You know, I literally was like looking through her pictures,
Yeah.
like trying to find any kind of clues that I could talk shit on, and I was like, I could have wrote a whole album
just on her.
Damn.
just on what I had found out, and I was like, nah, that's just so much. And I'm also not like, I'll talk my shit to a girl if I
Right.
need to, but like I'm not trying to tear another
Yeah.
girl. I'll battle rap a guy all day. Like
Yeah,
I've
yeah.
already told the homies, if you put me up against a guy, I will murder him in a battle. But another woman, I don't want to do that. Like
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't want to
It's
tear
hard
another
enough.
woman down.
Yeah, and I kind of felt that too. Like, damn, that's. I mean, I guess I understand it because that's what battle rap is. Like
Yeah.
you're like taking jabs at one another
Yeah.
and appearances and all that. But I was like, that's so bad.
That was whack too. I was like,
Yeah.
girl, you trying to comment on my height, my weight?
Yeah.
Like that's been
Yeah.
happening since elementary school. Like it ain't nothing new, you know. But I will definitely battle rap a guy. If you put me up against a guy, I
It's
will
done.
body you.
Yeah, I'm glad I can't battle rap.
Yeah, same here.
So
I-
where can we find can we find you and projects aside from the new project that's going to be dropping in December? What else do we got?
I have a couple tracks coming out next year. Like pretty much, I personally don't like putting out music at the end of the quarter because the December it belongs
to
to
Mariah
Mariah
Carey.
Carey. That's literally what I was
If
gonna
you
say.
guys check out her new
Yeah.
advertisement.
Yeah, that shit is ridiculous, you know. And that's what I'm saying. I want to find that song of mine that just every December she cashes in the fattest check. She's
Yeah.
literally set for life off that song.
Yeah.
You know, so December is Mariah Carey's month. I don't even bother putting shit out in December. But in January, I have some music coming out. I'm collaborating with my boy Danny Zico. Every producer I'm working with right now is named Daniel. It's hilarious. I'm also going to be working with my boy Daniel James. He's the one who produced My Favorite High. I have some stuff coming out with Nug Life that we're working out on, and just a whole bunch of different stuff, man. I also work with a band called Memory Den. They're from Whittier. Shout out to my homeboys. We've been working on some stuff too, and I'm just really excited for all the new music. One thing as an artist that I hate is not dropping new stuff. It literally feels like you're not doing your job. So
Yeah.
with finding the balance within my life that I now have time to write. I now have time to do the things I want to do in my artistry to project myself. So a whole bunch of new stuff coming out in 2022. I'm really hoping that I can go back to Europe this year. I
All
really
right.
want to go to
Let's put
Rotterdam.
that out there.
Yeah.
Let's put that
Let's
out
go,
there.
Put it out
universe.
to the
Yeah.
universe.
Let's get Zzay at Europe. Come on.
I love Rotterdam. I love the Netherlands. They love hip hop there. They love Mexican people out there. You
Yeah.
know, so
What about like I've also heard like in Tokyo or
yeah,
in
there's
like
a cholo
those-
scene in
Yeah.
Tokyo.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, so
It's
like
a Chicano
yeah,
that scene.
there's a Chicano scene out there, and I just want to go out to everywhere that I
Yeah.
can. But I want to go to new places. I haven't been to any parts of Asia. I would love to go to Asia. I would love to go to Africa if I can. Want to go to Canada really bad because the weed out there is crazy too.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm just super excited to be making new stuff, to be back in the studio, but yeah, I definitely want to go back to Rotterdam. If I can go back to Rotterdam or Amsterdam within the Netherlands, my life will be set.
There you go. Let's make that happen.
Let's do it. It's gonna happen.
All right. And so we're gonna close out here. You have any last thoughts, B?
Yeah, Zzay dropped a lot of names today. And so if you're listening to this, definitely go back, listen to it again, and check
Mhm.
all these people out. You
Yeah.
know, support.
For sure.
We all gotta support each other. I say it all the time at my events, like the community keeps each other alive.
Yeah.
You
for
know,
sure.
like even if you are someone with 20K followers, it's free to all this. And like, I just learned about this, but all this social media token bullshit, like people with 20K followers won't promote somebody with under 10K followers. And to me, that is so stupid and ass backwards. Like, I feel like if you have the platform, you should be promoting people who don't. If not, then you're just helping the exploitation of them within the online industry, which is whack. But on that note, if you would like to follow me on Instagram,
Yeah.
I am at ZZAY92. I'm on Buddy Jane at Zzay92. I'm on Twitter. I'm on YouTube. I'm on also if you want to follow Brujas Brew, we're BRUXAS Brew. Follow locals only. Follow Oh That's Filthy. You know, follow all of us, man,
Yeah.
because everybody's year is about to be crazy next year. So a lot of get familiar.
We're definitely excited. We'll place all those handles on our pages
Yeah.
for everybody tuning in. But as we finish out here, one listeners, thank you guys for tuning in.
Thank you.
For everyone listening through the app, through the Good News Radio app, thank you guys. For our viewers on YouTube, whether you're watching through Said Connects channel or the TGN Latinx channel, I want to thank you guys for tuning in, coming in the chat line. Baby Dalia,
I was
I
about
see
to
you,
say.
mommy. Hi, mama. We're here every Monday at 4:20 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. Make sure to tune in with us. Follow us on Instagram at said_connects. That's CED_connects. We stream on Wednesdays. You'll find if you didn't catch us live today, you can find the episode on Spotify and Apple Podcasts starting Wednesday. But if you don't want to wait, check us out through YouTube or check us out at the radio app. Lastly, we want to give a shout out to our social equity sponsors, Seventh Wave with 4Gs, and they just got a few more brands under their belt with Paul Well. They have dope flavors and they got rated gas. So make sure to check
Fire.
those guys out. And they're here in LA as well. 4Gs, they just dropped in Stizzy. Got a big partnership with Stizzy now. So make sure to check them out. They're a social equity brand. Also look at Joyus 420 with their Fuego 415 and the Fizz. And then lastly, big shout out to Bianca Starr Agency. She's got big news. She just got verified to open up her first dispensary out in San Francisco. So make sure to check out Bianca Starr. She's another social equity applicant. And last but not least, I want to just thank you guys for again tuning in with us, checking us out, and really spending your Monday afternoon with us. With that being said, guys, we're out. Thank you.
Hey, thank you
Until
guys for
next week,
having
420.
me.
Yeah, no, thank you for coming. Thank you.
Yes. Let's go smoke.
Let's go. Let's go. Let's go. There you go, yo. And then our YouTube viewers get to see a little extra sneak peek.
All right. Bye, Mom.
Hey.